What's going on, Crawlings crew? Today we're going to be going over 3 different types of feeding responses you can expect from your pet snake at home. So stay tuned and enjoy. Today's video is actually kind of a culmination of me and a friend of mine talking, and it gave me this idea for this video. So you guys feel free to leave ideas for videos in the future, and I'd love to cover them down in the comment section below. But we were going over how his ball python refuses food and has been refusing food for 4 months, and it kind of really got the gears turning, right? It got my brain going, because I was thinking about Arbok over here in this enclosure. I was thinking about some of my personal ball pythons, and my Mexican black king snakes and blood python, and all, you know, all the reptiles that I have the joy of working with, and how there are these little nuances, there are these small details that I know about each one of them, these personalities, if you will. And so that's kind of what stemmed this entire idea. So today I'm going to go ahead and thaw. I only do frozen thawed. I do not feed live rodents to my reptiles, not to my snakes, not to my Pac-Man frog, which you guys will see in an upcoming video. Little sneak peek at that. And which is also from another new viewer of mine, so I want to thank you for the Pac-Man frog. He'll be getting his own video. He's special enough to get his own video. But anyway, let me go ahead and I'll finish thawing out some mice and rats, and we'll go over different prey options, the different types of feeding responses that you can expect from a colubrid versus a python, and we'll kind of go from there. So yeah. All right, so here we are at my ball python rack system. I just built this other one. Don't worry, the video is coming out soon on how I built these. But something important that I want to note right here, right now, is that I'm coming to the enclosures and I'm checking to see what snakes are out and active. Also, be aware of when your snake is naturally active. Ball pythons in general are nocturnal animals. Feeding at nighttime is going to be much more natural than feeding during the daytime. I know it might work out better for your schedule, but if you can, try to feed early mornings, say before you go to work, if you work extremely early, or feed very late in the evenings once you get back home, before you go to bed or something like that. And I promise you, that's one of those little nuances that will make a huge difference in the feeding response of your pet reptile. Now for my colubrids and things of that nature, those guys, because they're diurnal, typically will feed great during the day as well. So I'm coming over to the enclosures and I'm seeing who's out and who's active. I got 3 snakes that are out. My 2 males are hungry, and it looks like one of my new little females is hungry. And so we're gonna go ahead and get them. In this tub down here I have my blood python. He's in a smaller tub right now. It works out keeping the humidity higher, but I'm gonna try him in one of these big tubs. So I'm gonna get a big tub in there for him and get him set up. But just for now, this is just a feeding video, so try not to give me too much crap, guys. All right, let's go ahead and get these mice ready. Okay, now for the purposes of this video, I'm going to go ahead and show you a strike feeder. So this is Melvin. He's my spot-nosed yellow belly Mojave. He's always a very good eater. I'm just going to open his tub up like that. Over here, I made sure the rats are to the nice warm temperature. You can use a heat gun to do that. I leave them wet. You can dry them off. But as you can see up here, I'm going to go ahead and offer them. And I don't even think the camera caught that. But that's what I would refer to as a strike feeder. Now that his head is occupied, I'm gonna be able to put the camera over the top, but I would never ever do that. Once they smell um, the rodents thawing, um, they're on full on feed mode. You wouldn't reach in there. Never offer a frozen thawed rodent with your hands. Always, please be a responsible owner and use tongs. Okay. So that's Melvin, my guy Melvin. He's the daddy to my little babies this year. Super proud of him. He did a great job. But yeah, he's a pretty boy too. But yeah, it'd be nice to get some blue-eyed leucistics in the future. All right, let me go ahead and get the next one set up for you guys. All right. So this next one I'm going to go ahead and show you. I'm not as familiar working with this animal, but she's been feeding extremely well. Her name is Bubbles. I have some of my friends might know how she got her name. It's just a really funny and kind of cute story. Um, she kind of hissed and it was a bubble, but it wasn't like a upper respiratory infection or anything. I just thought it was kind of funny and cute, kind of like a, I don't know. It wasn't like from her nose. Anyway, I'm going off on a thing here, but it was a really cute name, so I stuck with it, especially since it was a female. This one, you can see I got some paper towel over here. I like to use paper towel if you're going to dry the rodent off. I'm going to show you how to do that real quick here. Because they you don't always feed a wet rodent. It's not as natural as feeding a more dry rodent. But just dab it with a paper towel, and don't use. I don't recommend using a towel. You can use a towel, but a lot of times those have detergents on them, and things of that nature that can alter the scent of your rodent. She's a little bit smaller. She's getting a mouse today. Actually, I gotta pick up more rodents soon, but for the purposes of this feeding video, she's always been a strike feeder as well. But let's see if I can get her on camera doing a grab feed. And there's a difference between strike feeding and grab feeding, but we'll see. No, yeah, she grabbed it, and I was out of frame, dang it. So she grabbed it and coiled it right away. Even though it was just laying there on the tub, she grabbed it right away. So, she's gorgeous too, man. I couldn't even believe. So, this little side story on Bubbles here. My friends run a reptile rescue, and someone surrendered this gorgeous girl to them. They just couldn't provide a good home for her, and I saw her and I was like, "Yep, you're coming home with me, Bubbles." So that's a little side story on her. Let me try to show you a drop feeder. Let's do a drop feeder, and that'll be my buddy, my blood python Kinks. So let's jump over there and do that. Okay, so I'm gonna take Kinks whole tub out. Kinks actually got his name because my friend hatched him out. When he was hatched, he had a little bit of a kink in his spine, but I'll take him out in another video, but he has no kink in his spine. But Kinks is a drop feeder typically. So I'm going to put this here, and you'll notice he doesn't strike for it. He doesn't go for it right away. What I'm going to do is I'll close the lid up. We'll come back later and I'll show you. He'll come out, he'll eat the prey item. It doesn't need to be alive. It doesn't need to be moving around. I don't need to wiggle it in front of him with the tongs. He doesn't need to be enticed at all. This is what you call a drop feeder. And the problem with drop feeders is they make really great pet reptiles. You can handle them almost whenever, and they're hardly ever aggressive, or that's what I've noticed with my drop feeders anyway. I had a ball python previously. Oh, you can see he's sniffing right now. He can smell the rat. He's ready to go. So let me close this up because he's also very shy. So that's the other problem that you can get with drop feeders. Typically, they're very shy feeders, so they're not one of the first snakes out of the eggs to start eating right away. Typically, they're one of the last. that I've noticed. And I actually got some baby ball pythons over there. I got one in particular that just does not want to eat. But that's okay. You got to be patient. You got to give them time. I don't believe in force feeding. Um, I've had mixed results with it in the past. Um, I've always had much better um, response, feeding response to those animals that I let go a little bit longer. Just make sure they're getting plenty of hydration, they're kept at the proper temperatures, proper humidity, and they will start to feed like 95% of the time. Occasionally you gotta force feed them, and then that's just like I said, it's just not a great situation. They're getting nutrients and they're getting nutrition in them, but they just it's not a sustainable um, animal if you have to force feed them all the time. But you can see he's kind of sniffing around here. I wonder if we can get this on camera. I'm just going to keep it rolling. So this is what a drop feeder will do. You just set it down, and there's almost no aggressive behavior whatsoever. He's going to just kind of sniff around, and then he's going to put his mouth over the bit that he thinks should go down first, which is right in front of him. Okay, here's where the time lapse would come in, but I'm impatient. So let me just get back to when he starts chomping down on it. All right, and while he's chomping down on that, let's go ahead and see another strike feeder. This is my boy, Carl. He's my albino blade, hat for clown. I'm not even wiggling it. Yeah, see, he grabbed it right away. All right, so this is my little baby Bolins, and he's usually a grab feeder. So I'll just hold it right here to the tip of his nose. And then he just pushes into it and he opens his mouth and grabs it. See? Real gentle. And a snake will grab it like that. They'll coil around it. And basically what he's going to do is use his body to push the rodent into his mouth. Because they don't have hands like you and I do where we can just shovel it in there with our fingers. So those are the 3 different types of feeding. And I just wanted to show you guys that real quick, that there are those subtle little nuances. And in the evening hours, I always feed my pythons, and during the day, I feed my colubrids. I hope that helps. And if you guys keep it, make sure to keep it crawling. We'll see you next time.